3 other states to do admin and logistics works for ICE. You say all of this is valuable training, but I would much rather have our troops do tough, realistic training relevant to high-end combat. Instead of typing in spreadsheets for ICE, they should be conducting live fire maneuver exercises. Instead of patrolling American neighborhoods and standing in front of federal buildings, they should be rehearsing call for fire missions. We have local police who can stand in front of those federal buildings. And the list of distractions goes on. You are encouraging the DoD workforce to go work for DHS in increasing numbers. You're pulling the military away from facing foreign enemies who literally say things like death to America. And you're putting troops with weapons aimed at Americans. Mr. Secretary, let the military get back to its real job. Stop forcing them to do DHSs. And if you want to be DHS Secretary, maybe you can apply for that job when you're fired from this one due to your incompetence.
Another civil war has erupted in Donald Trump's completely dysfunctional White House. And this time, it is not Elon Musk, it is Tulsi Gabbard, who is directly contradicting Donald Trump as his White House is on the verge of complete collapse with war on the brink. It couldn't be a bigger disaster. And now, Donald Trump is attacking one of his own cabinet secretaries. We are going to get into why and how much Trump is losing it, and whether this means the end of Tulsi Gabbard as the Director of National Intelligence. But first, we have to start with a different controversy by Tulsi that kind of started this all out, and that was broken down by Senator John Oath right here.
We do have to just step back and acknowledge that the depth of corruption and self-dealing and self-enrichment by the Trump family during this term is something that we have never, ever seen in the United States. At no point in our republic have we seen anything like this. I mean, you had Jared Kushner took billions of dollars from the Saudis. You've got the president's family going out ahead of his official visits doing business across the region. You've got the meme coin where foreigners are directly enriching the president and his family and his businesses. And some of them are being quite open. Some of the folks buying this coin are being quite open that they're doing it in order to curry favor or to gain influence. And the president is selling private dinners and White House tours to people who invest in his family businesses, not to mention the airplane, which is maybe the most extraordinary single obvious constitutional violation in presidential history. It is really mind-blowing. And for the speaker to say that, when it is the explicit role of the United States Congress to investigate and oversee misconduct by the executive branch, when we have all sworn an oath to that Constitution, which defines that separation of powers and that role for the United States Congress, demonstrates that there is no red line, there is no new depth that this administration can plumb that will get these folks to give a damn. They're absolutely committed to defending and covering up for this president and this administration. No.
So Tulsi Gabbard does not actually plan to do her job as the Director of National Intelligence. No, she wants to take after every other member of Donald Trump's cabinet and be a TV star and be loyal to Donald Trump above all else. That's what they're focused on kissing Donald Trump's ass, not doing their job, not keeping us safe. It is why Tulsi Gabbard is directly contradicting intelligence reports that disagree with Trump, except for one. There is one position in which Tulsi Gabbard is breaking with Donald, and it's her attacks on warmongering elites, as she put it in an absurd video that is blowing up in her face. And I want to take a look at that right here.
I recently visited Hiroshima in Japan and stood at the epicenter of a city that remains scarred by the unimaginable horror caused by a single nuclear bomb dropped in 1945, 80 years ago. It's hard for me to find the words to express what I saw, the stories that I heard, the haunting sadness that still remains. This is an experience that will stay with me forever. This attack obliterated the city, killed over 300,000 people, many dying instantly while others died from severe burns, injuries, radiation sickness, and cancer that set in the following months and years. Nagasaki suffered the same fate. Homes, schools, families, all gone in a flash. The survivors, the hibakusha, They carried the pain of extreme burns, radiation sickness, and loss for decades. Survivors of this attack were asked to put in paintings and drawings their own memories and how they felt and what they saw, and those paintings and the suffering that they conveyed, the pain and the sense of loss were almost more powerful than the photos themselves. Yet this one bomb that caused so much destruction on Hiroshima was tiny compared to today's nuclear bombs. The bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima had a yield of just 15 kilotons of TNT, whereas today's nuclear warheads range in size from 100 kilotons to over 1 megaton. A single nuclear weapon today could kill millions in just minutes. Just one of these nuclear bombs would vaporize everything at its core: people, buildings, life itself. The shockwave would crush structures miles away, killing and maiming countless people. And then comes the fallout. Radioactive poison spreading through the air, water, and soil, condemning survivors to agonizing deaths or lifelong suffering. A nuclear winter could follow, with smoke and ash completely blocking the sun, plunging the world into darkness and cold, killing crops and starving billions. Acid rain would scar the earth, wiping out entire ecosystems. This isn't some made-up science fiction story. This is the reality of what's at stake, what we are facing now. Because as we stand here today, closer to the brink of nuclear annihilation than ever before, political elite and warmongers are carelessly fomenting fear and tensions between nuclear powers. Perhaps it's because they are confident that they will have access to nuclear shelters for themselves and for their families that regular people won't have access to. So it's up to us, the people, to speak up and demand an end to this madness. We must reject this path to nuclear war and work toward a world where no one has to live in fear of a nuclear holocaust.
So, this video from Tulsi Gabbard got a lot of coverage for obvious reasons when it first came out. It was incredibly weird. I didn't even play the whole thing because it's 3 minutes of videos of like bombs and underground shelters. It's so weird for MAGA to put on this, anti-institution, anti-elite facade when their president and leader is a billionaire surrounded by other billionaires being supported by the biggest TV cable news outlet in the country. Like, you own the stuff. You are the elites. You do recognize that. Tulsi Gabbard, you're a cabinet secretary. How are you going after the deep state when you're in charge? So it all runs in contradiction to itself. But as Donald Trump continues to escalate war in the Middle East, whether it be with potential strikes going forward in Iran or just the insane posts he's making, he's not very happy about Tulsi Gabbard challenging warmongers, and that's why he's attacking her. And fights are happening in the White House. Inside the clashes between Trump and Gabbard, the director of national intelligence has rankled Trump with her statements about nuclear war, and the president has suggested she's off message as Donald Trump privately mulled joining Israel's campaign against Iran this month. One member of his cabinet sent what he viewed as an audacious attempt to steer him in the opposite direction. At 5:30 a.m. on June 10th, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard tweeted a cryptic 3-minute video warning. The political elite and war mongers are carelessly fermenting fear and tensions between nuclear powers, and that the world is on the brink of nuclear annihilation. Trump saw the unauthorized video and became incensed, complaining to associates at the White House that she had spoken out of turn. According to 3 people familiar with the episode, her post came a few days after Israel hawks met with the Trump at White House to lobby him to support Israel's attack on Iran in the eyes of Trump and some close to him. Gabbard was warning him not to greenlight Israel attacking Iran. Trump even expressed his disapproval to her personally. 3 people said, "I don't think he dislikes Tulsi as a person, but certainly the video made him not super hot on her, and he doesn't like it when people are off message," said one of the people. A senior administration official, the official added that Trump also doesn't appreciate it when people appear to be correcting him, and that many took the video as trying to correct the administration's position. Trump's reaction to the video, which has not been previously reported, underscores a widening gap between the president on the brink of potentially joining Israel's war and his anti-interventionist intelligence chief, who in the past has been adamantly against the U.S. engaging in new foreign conflicts. So another Trump civil war has broken out. Because 1, the president has no idea what he's doing, and 2, I don't really think Tulsi necessarily does either, if we know she has been willing to sacrifice our safety by firing top officials within her bureau, because what she didn't like, that they contradicted the president, but she's willing to do so when it really hits close to home. No, that seems like someone making reckless and emotional decisions. And speaking of reckless and emotional, we also heard, unfortunately, way too much from Pete Hegseth today. And I want to check out more of what wasn't nearly covered enough that he had to say today.
A colleague from Oklahoma, I believe the Secretary of Defense has just responded last week and admitted that the $1 billion mission that he led against the Houthis, who do not have a navy, has not restored the transit of U.S. flag commercial vessels through the Red Sea, and in fact has resulted in the loss of 2 F-18 Hornets to the tune of $60 million apiece, as well as, I believe the last count was 7 Reaper drones to the tune of another $200 million. You are blowing through money like my fellow cadets and I did in our first Liberty after basic camp. Luckily, I didn't end up with a questionable tattoo. Your failures, Mr. Secretary, since you've taken office has been staggering. You sent classified operational information over Signal to chest thump in front of your wife, who, by the way, has no security clearance, risking service member lives in the process. You blew the $1 billion fight against the Houthis, whom, again, as my colleague says, has no navy, and yet you lost all of those aircraft. You've created such a hostile command environment that no one wants to serve as your chief of staff or work with you in other senior DoD leadership roles. But what we should all be talking about, more than all of this, is that you have an unjustified, un-American misuse of the military in American cities, pulling resources and attention away from core missions to the detriment of the country, the warfighters, and yes, the war fighting that you claim to love. I don't know if this is because you are too inexperienced and incompetent to understand the real threats facing our country, or if it's because you are just an unqualified yes man who can't tell the president how to keep Americans safe. You are focusing on renaming bases for Confederate generals. You said just now to Senator King that to a man and to a woman, we would rather be associated with the old Confederate names. Well, I am one of those women. I served at Fort Rucker, Alabama, a base that was named for a traitor who took arms against the United States of America, led troops who killed Americans. It was renamed for Mike Novosel, a Medal of Honor recipient, who in his citation for the Medal of Honor includes that he saved 29 American lives, to include hovering backwards in a helicopter towards an enemy bunker where a wounded American was laying and saved that person, including after being taken fire himself. I know a little something about what it takes to fly a helicopter when you've been hit by enemy fire. That was heroic. I'd rather be associated with Mike Novosel than a failed Confederate traitor. I don't know whether you are inexperienced or too incompetent, but I wonder when you will actually focus on our nation's warfighting mission. We know that California is just a deliberate, systematic, political, and dangerous campaign led by you. We should not be using our military to play cops against Americans. Is the department currently incorporating into any military plans expanding the use of the reserve forces to include the National Guard or active duty troops to support domestic law enforcement, including in other locations in the United States?
We are on the brink of another global conflict. Donald Trump is losing his mind, talking about erecting flagpoles. Tulsi Gabbard is posting about nuclear annihilation and little short films that I don't know if she's trying to submit them to like Cannes or Sundance, but she seems focused on her production quality. And Pete Hegseth is just putting back martinis. I assume, does anyone feel good about this? I don't know how people voted for this. I don't know, but it's just going to be our job to keep calling it out and covering it. We're going to be doing so on this show, and if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.